Hi there, wildlife lovers, and welcome to World of Wildlife, where we explore the incredible creatures and ecosystems that make our planet so special. I'm Sarah, and today we have an exciting journey into the world of sharks, shark nets, and drumlines. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, comment below with any questions or wildlife stories, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, check out my social media channels for more wildlife facts, updates, and behind the scenes content. All right, let's get stuck in. All right, well, we're live now. So welcome everybody for coming to World of Wildlife for September. My goodness, where is this year going? It's just crazy. I don't know where it's going. But as you know, I've been away in Borneo, so my head's a little bit still in Borneo brain, I think. If you don't know me, my name is Dr. Sarah Pai. I have a number of different hats that I wear. I teach sustainability at the University of the Sunshine Coast. I run tours to Borneo, which is a recent addition, and I also write books about my friend, Dr. Wong Suti. These are the books that I have written. I started off, the first visit I had to Borneo was in 2012, and I met Dr. Wong Suti there, who is the founder and director of the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre. I was captivated by what he's doing to protect a species and actually pull them back from the brink well, they are endangered, but the brink of extinction. So I wrote Wong's biography, that's called Saving Sun Bears there. I wrote that as my doctorate. And once I'd finished that, I realized that I really needed to engage children and the next generation in some of these important conservation concepts. So I've now written the series of Wildlife Wong children's books, and they're for children 8 to 12. They each include a non-fiction story or real life story about Wong and his adventures with the different species. They also include cool animal facts and experiments that link back to the story. I'm really excited that they've been awarded different things, and yeah, if you haven't got a copy, now would be a good time to have a look at those. We have Taylor here from Vancouver, who is actually one of my young reviewers, and each one of my books actually has a young reviewer that reviews it before it hits the stands and has their picture in the front of the book. So that's what I do. Well, the way this gathering works is that we start with, I'll give you a little bit of an update about what I've been doing this month. Then usually we would pass over to Dr. Wong to tell us what's going on with sun bears in Borneo. Unfortunately, he's unable to join us today, so we won't have that component. Instead, I might pick a little bit on some people here and see if we can talk a little bit about some of the experiences we've had. And then we'll pass over to Bella Graham, who is an animal ecologist. She was also one of my students at the University of the Sunshine Coast, and Bella's going to share with us all about sharks. So that's going to be very cool. All right, so let's start with me. As you just heard, I've just come back from Borneo. I spent 10 days there with 6 adventure travelers, and we traveled through areas like Sepalok to see the orangutans and the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre. We spent time on the river of the Kinabatangan River, which is the longest river in Sabah. And we spent time in Danam Valley Conservation Area, where Wong did most of the research that he's done in sun bear conservation. The trip went so well that I'm now launching 2 next year, and I can't give you the link to actually find out more at this point, but I'm giving you a little bit of a spoiler alert here. So this is my new tour page. I'll be sending you a link to that new tour page as soon as it's live in the next week, so you can have a bit of a heads up. And I would love it if you guys would share that tour page with other people you think might be interested in coming to Borneo. That would be very, very cool. Thank you. Other things I've done this month, Madura, who's here, runs a tour training guide for a workshop for tour guides in Sri Lanka, teaching them how to be more sustainable tour guides. And over the last few years, I've been a guest speaker as part of that program. So that happened this month too. It was a really awesome thing to do. So thank you very much, Madura, for the opportunity to do that again. Would you like to tell anyone a little bit more about this program that you've developed?
Yes, Sarah. Well, this is a program funded by Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade from Australia. And this is my fifth successful project back in Sri Lanka. So all these projects are facilitating selected youth in Sri Lanka to conduct sustainable tour guiding. So that includes wildlife, social aspects, and economic aspects as well. So your support was to develop their knowledge about how to support the wildlife in terms of sustainable tourism. So over the last 5 years, we were doing this, and this year's program was concluded August third week, which you were part of.
Yeah.
So I think all together we have 45 participants.
45, was that this year or was that over all the 5 years?
All
Okay.
together 45. This year was 11 participants.
Yeah, well done for the incredible
Thank
work
you.
you're doing, Madura. It's hopefully improving the tour guiding experience in Sri Lanka. So if anyone here wants to go to Sri Lanka to see wildlife, you hopefully would get a much better product, a much more sustainable product in the tour guiding element. So well done, Madura, for doing that. It's
Thank
an
you. Thank you.
incredible project. The other things I've done this month in Australia, August is book month. It used to be, and it really is book week, but it tends to expand when you're an author in the children's space. So book week is run by the Children's Book Council of Australia, and it's a time when we focus on children's literature, non-fiction and fiction. And most authors like myself spend time in schools engaging kids with the idea of learning through books. So I spent a lot of time in doing workshops together with my puppet sidekick here, that's Pongo, and spent some time in schools in Brisbane, some time in schools in the Sunshine Coast and other areas as well, which is fabulous. Most authors that I know just love Book Week. It's a chance to actually connect with the readers that we have, which is fabulous. At the end of that book week, there was a celebration for authors and librarians. It held in Brisbane, which was fantastic. Jenny, you were there. Would you like to tell us anything about that event?
Try that. It really is. It really is just the end of book week, just celebrating the love that we all have, as you can see on the faces of all those adults in there. And so that contingent all came down from the Sunshine Coast to join in. We have a raffle where we raffle off art that's been donated by illustrators. We listen to different speakers. So we have an author and an illustrator talking. And yeah, lots of fun.
Really good, wasn't it? It was a lovely event. It was a chance for me to meet a lot of librarians who work in schools directly with children, and I love that. It's a really nice thing to do. So yeah, an awesome event. Really good way to connect with.
I think next year it's 70th anniversary of Children's Book Council. No, yeah, the 70th anniversary of sorry, no, I'm getting mixed up. Queensland's 70 this year.
Okay.
Next year, the national body are 80.
Oh, fabulous. Oh.
Right. And so instead of having, and I don't know whether we're going to have an adult session like this or whether we're going to be doing a big children's day on the Saturday, the first Saturday of Book Week. They're trying to get every branch across Australia all having some children's event on the same day at the same time.
Oh, that'd be awesome. All right, I'm in, and I won't be in Borneo this time next year. I promise, Jenny. So I'll put my hand up.
I don't know what they're doing. They haven't gone that far. We have a meeting tonight, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll find out at some point, I'm sure. Awesome. I also had a very interesting time last week.
Oh, can I interrupt for a sec too?
Yeah, please do.
There was one other event that they did this year that they haven't done before, is that SeaWorld had authors down the Gold Coast.
Oh,
and they were doing a lot of promoting for Book Week in SeaWorld.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I hope they do that again. That'd be really great.
Or think of something that could be done on the Sunshine Coast. What's an equivalent up there?
Oh, we've got Sea Life here, so that could work there. Bella, I hope you're in for that one.
And the theme for next year is reading and adventure.
Well, that works well, doesn't it? Definitely, especially somewhere like Sea Life, for sure.
It is. It sounds like a really good event. Let's work on something, shall we? Sounds good. All right. So last week was an interesting conference come workshop with koala people around Southeast Queensland. So we all gathered in Brisbane to do a workshop around the creation of a citizen science app that'll be used for people to be able to find and track koalas in the wild in Southeast Queensland. The concept is that a lot of people don't even know that they have koalas in their neighborhood. So the more that people can be aware that there's koalas, the more that communities are likely to want to protect them and become sort of citizen science hubs for koalas. So this was a really, really fantastic workshop that included all sorts of different koala groups throughout Southeast Queensland that usually are a little bit disparate and usually work in their own little silos. They all got together to figure out how to move forward. One of those people who invited me is Dr. Rahman, and she's the person standing up there just about to speak. She runs the koala detection dogs on the Sunshine Coast, and I've spent time out with her and her dogs finding koalas and finding koala scats in our local area. Now, that experience will make it into my next book, which I'm very excited to tell you about. Oh, we don't want Bella yet. I'm going to launch my next book idea with you next month. I'll tell you a little bit more because at the moment I've just finished writing the first in a series called Curious Kai series. It's going to take my protagonist around Queensland investigating all these different species, and next month I'll tell you a little bit more about the species. I've been dropping hints or so over the last couple of months, but I want to identify those scientists that I will include in this book and talk to you about the follow-up book as well. So we'll save that one for next month. Has anyone got something they'd like to ask or add about any of those elements? How are we going?
I have a question.
Yeah, let's go for it, Irene.
Okay, so I've never been to Australia, but how common is it to see a koala? Like, are they in your backyard, or are they?
Well, no, it's hard to see them because they're hard to find.
Right.
They look like little lumps on trees and they don't move. So it's actually quite hard to find them. But there are places we can take you where you'll have a better chance to see them.
Okay.
Can I tell you something here?
Yeah, go for it, Jenny.
Yeah, so I was a teacher librarian at Amberley State School, which is the big Air Force base near where I live. And it's a known koala habitat in that area. And the school was built with a courtyard in the middle with a big tree right in the middle of the courtyard. And one day the koala came down the tree and walked through the preschool classroom, through one door and out the other door and out the other side. So you can be in the right place at the right time sometimes and see them. Yeah. You
can be, and there are some places we can find them more often than others. Griffith University campus is a pretty good one. There's Mount Gravatt in Brisbane's not a bad place to try and find them. Kate, have you got any other places you'd suggest that would be a good choice? No. Used to have a better chance in Noosa National Park than we do now, unfortunately. Where have you seen them, Elijah?
Stradbroke Island is a good place to see them.
Yeah, Stradbroke's good. And coming to think about that, then there's also Magnetic Island's pretty good.
I was going to say Magnetic. I saw,
good place. Or on the Great Ocean Road down at Otway Peninsula, that's a good spot as well.
I think it might have been on Kangaroo Island too that I saw koalas in the wild.
And you've seen lots in South Australia, Jazz. Yeah. Okay. So when you're coming, Irene, we'll all help you work your itinerary, won't we?
Okay. Sounds good.
That sounds good. Having said that, if you want to see a kangaroo, I can take you to a kangaroo in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're easy
We've
to
got
spot.
kangaroos here.
Sounds good. All right. Kate, would you like to share anything about Borneo, or how are you going there? Have you got anything you want to add that you forgot last month?
No, it was an awesome trip altogether. Just seeing, the conservation, like the sun bears, the orangutans, like the river cruises that we did, and the pygmy elephants. It was amazing. Like, it was so good. The multiple species of like the monkeys, just, yeah, learning about all of the different species and animals about Borneo and, you know, in general was amazing. Obviously I love fungi, so there was a lot of fungi photography for me, which was amazing. And just, yeah, just everything that I guess that they're trying to do conservation wise, yeah, is hard to some point, but it's amazing what
That's
they
an incredible experience we had. Yeah, I'm hoping we can replicate it next year, but it'd be hard to beat because we had
Yeah.
such an awesome crew of people too, didn't we?
It was yeah, it's very special. And yeah, the treetop walks and stuff like that, it was good.
One of the highlights for me, I think I spoke about it briefly last month, was when we were on a just at dusk, and we were on a aerial walkway, and an orangutan and a baby came down a tree close to the walkway, not too far away from us, and started building a nest at our eye level. So we watched her build her entire nest and then pull her baby in and snuggle up in her nest for the night. Wasn't that incredible, Kate?
It was so good. And just, I don't think people really grasp the concept of how powerful they are, and just like ripping the branches down like it's nothing, and just like, yeah.
But we did discover that when we actually got chased by an orangutan.
Yeah, straight off the bat, we're walking down the walkway, and then, you know, Wong's like, run, and it's like, is this a joke? And it just like, you didn't even have time to think, and it was just like everyone's bolting.
We just turned around and ran. Yeah, so some really interesting experiences we had there, didn't we?
Yeah.
I also loved being woken up every morning in Dannon Valley to the gibbons booming.
The gibbons, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. You think that you'll be woken up to a dawn chorus of birds, you know, and you're not, because the gibbons go off before the birds.
Yeah.
Booming thing. Did you get, Irene and Taylor, did you get that when you were in Dannon? Did you hear the booming gibbons?
Yeah, we heard the gibbons in the morning as well, before the birds.
Incredible. Yeah, just
it is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to see them and you know, and also see some crazy creatures I didn't even know existed, like colugos and bitterongs and, you know, all sorts of other things, was mind-blowing too. So if you haven't got to Borneo yet, please put it on your list. It's a really, really good thing to do. All right, well, that sort of leads me to introduce Bella. Now, the one reason I've chosen my backdrop today of Mooloolaba Beach is, in case you guys, those of you that are not in Australia and those of you that are not in our local area, might not have heard that there's been a little bit of a viral video going around this week of a fisherman just off this beach here who was fishing in his boat and saw a great white, and the great white attacked his boat. We're not known for great whites here, so this is something just a little bit unusual. And it makes this a really, really good time to learn a little bit more about sharks, about their importance in our ecosystem, and how we're protecting humans, and whether we're doing a good job at that or not. So that's sort of my segue into Bella. Bella Graham's an animal ecologist, as I said, and she's now working in shark conservation and behavior research. So welcome, Bella. Thank you so much for coming to share all sorts of information with us. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yes, I'm sure most of Australia would have seen that recent video of the white shark biting the tinny. I know that went absolutely everywhere on my feed, and I got tagged with it about a gazillion times. Yeah, that's very uncommon around here. We do get white sharks occasionally, but there's not really any film of it, and they're kind of just passing through. The water's far too warm up here. I'm just going to quickly share my screen and get this sorted. Okay, so today, like Sarah mentioned, I work in animal ecology realm. I also am a shark expert specialist. That's kind of how I finished my degree. So today I'll be talking about the Queensland Shark Control Program, especially looking at the shark nets and drumlines. Okay, so just before I begin, I'd like to give you a little bit of an intro on me. Like I mentioned, my name is Bella. I'm 23 years old and I live on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. I have just graduated university. I studied at the University of the Sunshine Coast and did a double degree in a Bachelor of Business, Tourism, Leisure and Events, and a Bachelor of Animal Ecology, specializing in shark research. Following my graduation in September, I was lucky enough to join an internship in South Africa, working with the Shark Research Unit. Here, our main goal was to identify and monitor great white shark behavior and movement in Mussel Bay. With this, we did lots of work on drone surveillance. We had elasma rank surveys doing like diving every day. We also used tag and recapture data, and we looked at the population in the area of the sharks. This was really, really cool work. I was only one of 3 people to get picked for that for this year, which was absolutely amazing. And I've only just come home. So jumping into the Queensland and New South Wales Shark Control Program, this program actually began in 1937 in New South Wales, so it's almost a century old. This program was later moved into Queensland waters in 1962, following a string of fatal shark attacks through Queensland. So just to give you a little bit of background on why it was initially established, was because New South Wales actually had a similar thing to in Europe with the Black Plague back in the late 1800s. Where you could see that the entire generation of around New South Wales and Sydney was the human kind of like, everyone was not going so well. There was lots of disease, there was lots of health issues. And the government actually saw that people that were utilizing the beach, people that started swimming, people that started surfing, had more of a healthier way of living, and that they were stronger, and they were actually going to increase the race of Australians, which is absolutely wild. They then decided, the Queensland government had a big push for surf lifesavers, created surf lifesaving clubs, and with the large amount of people that were now utilizing the ocean, there was also shark attacks. So there came the implementation of shark nets and baited drumlines. So both of these shark deterrents are still being used in Queensland and New South Wales waters almost a century on. But I will just note, from here on, I'm going to be specifying in just Queensland, so just where we're from. So these deterrents are trying to target certain shark species. So these are normally looking at the larger and more predatory sharks. These include your tiger, your bull, the white, the Australian blacktip, the common blacktip, the dusky whaler, and the grey reef shark. So this list used to be at 13 target species, but the Queensland government decided last year just to limit it down to the 7, which is good. So I'm going to start with talking about shark nets. Shark nets in Queensland can range anywhere between 124 to 186 meters in length. They sit at the surface of the water and they go down for 6 meters. So these devices are anchored down to the bottom of the seafloor to keep them in place, and they're usually used to cover an entire stretch of coast, which is normally roughly around 1 to 2 kilometers in length. In this diagram, which has been supplied through Sea Shepherd, you can really see that despite what people think, the shark nets are not a barrier. So sharks can very easily go under them and they can go around them. So this first bit of information here has actually come directly from the Australian government DAF website. And it says that shark nets are designed to catch sharks that pass through the area. They do not create a barrier between water users and sharks, and they do not prevent sharks from entering into an area. In fact, we can see that recent data from the Humane Society International said that over 40% of sharks that were caught in the nets are those that were returning back out to sea from the shore. This data came from 2023. So we can really see that the shark nets are creating more of a false sense of security, and they aren't doing what people necessarily think they are. The main issue that we have with this is just the amount of bycatch that are getting entangled with these nets. So again, this data was found from HSI in 2023. So we found last year a total of 722 marine animals were either killed or found dead in the nets and drumlines. So 614 of these animals were non-target species, and only 30% of those that were found were released alive. So when I'm talking about bycatch or non-target species moving on, I'm speaking about migrating whales, dolphins, turtles, seals, stingrays, dugongs, and other non-target shark species that we're not trying to catch. I will just put a little bit of a graphic warning. There's going to be some photos of nets in this next one. So this is just a few entanglements in Queensland alone. So up on the top left is a dugong that was found off of Noosa Beach. Below that is some bottlenose dolphins that were entangled in drumlines, again in Noosa last year. We have seals, the endangered leatherback turtles, rays, more dolphins, and also a whole lot of migrating humpback whales. We can see that the marine entanglements always increase during this season as the whales are going past. So yeah, the bycatch is really detrimental to our environment. Okay, moving along, the second deterrent that is being used in Queensland Shark Control Program is the use of beta drumlines. So a drumline is basically a big yellow buoy that sits on the surface that is attached with a large shark fishing hook. This shark fishing hook is baited with bait that will attract the target species. This entire device, like with the nets, is chained to the bottom of the seafloor so it doesn't move. So again, this information has come directly from the Queensland Government website, where it says that beta drumlines catch actively feeding sharks using baits attached to a shark fishing hook. The target shark species that are captured are then removed and euthanized, so they're killed. And non-target sharks or other animals are released alive whenever possible. So there's a few points that I want to kind of like make note of here. The first is that any target shark is immediately killed. With this, any shark that is caught, whether it be protected or not, that is over 2 meters in length is also killed. Another main point is the targeting in on the non-target shark species being released wherever possible. So we've seen that in 2023, 958 sharks were caught specifically on drumlines. However, this number doesn't specify what species they were. We can see that the bycatch number, so we're talking whales, dolphins, turtles, rays, was at 138 species. But we're not including our protected sharks that we're trying to look after. So one of these is the grey nurse shark. So grey nurse sharks are listed as critically endangered by the IUCN. Recent data shows that the grey nurse sharks on the east coast of Australia in the last 10 years have declined by 90% in New South Wales waters and by 74% in Queensland waters. The Queensland government has actually specified that the decline in this population is because of commercial recreational fishing, as well as the meshing program that is on our coasts. Another one is also that the shark nets are really impacting the hammerheads as well. They're an incredibly fragile species that I've worked a lot with in South Africa, which is really devastating to see the impacts that it's having here, as well as, of course, our black-tip reef sharks. So we can see that the nets and drumlines are having detrimental effects on our marine environments and our protected species as well. Another point to mention here is we have seen that areas that were previously not so sharky beaches are now having more interactions, having more sightings. And this is because the animals that are getting caught in these nets, you have to picture they're splashing and they're thrashing on the top of the water, creating commotion and attracting these larger sharks to come in and basically ringing the dinner bell for them. The drumlines and shark nets are located 500 meters from the beach. So we're seeing that these larger sharks are coming in closer to shore because of this device. Another quick point while we're here is that it has been seen that the predatory, older and wiser sharks that we're trying to catch have actually learnt not to be taking the bait off of drumlines. So it's leaving it to the younger species, the younger, more juvenile sharks that haven't quite identified what is a target species and what is a prey item, and drawing them in closer to shores. So the impacts of this, this is something we'll have to see over the next little bits, but ideally these nets and these drumlines are creating a false sense of security, and they're actually drawing sharks closer into the water. Okay, so just to give you a few stats here, since the introduction of the Queensland Shark Control Program, we've seen there's been 80,000 entanglements in Queensland. That is a crazy number. In Sunshine Coast alone, this year in 2024 so far, we've had 917 entanglements. With the most recent was just a few days ago in Rainbow Beach with another humpback whale being caught in the nets. We've seen that these deterrents are extremely ineffective method for promoting public safety, and data has actually proven to us now that they don't make any impact on the safety of beachgoers, yet they have this negative detrimental effect to marine life. So I know actually in here, it's only Sarah and I that are from Sunshine Coast. So this probably won't be that relevant to a lot of people, but just to have a visual of it. This is the Sunshine Coast in maps that have come straight off of the DAF website. The red dots are drumlines and the yellow are shark nets. So on the left side of the screen, you can see Sunshine Coast North, ranging from the top at Noosa, going down to Point Cartwright. On the right side of the screen, you've got from Point Cartwright down to Kings Beach. In the Sunshine Coast, there's 11 shark nets and there is 78 drumlines. So a lot of our beaches are being baited to try and attract these sharks. We can see that Queensland and New South Wales are the only states left in Australia still utilising these methods. I know the left of the screen is a little bit busy, but I want you to pay attention to the green and the pink icons. These are where they're using the drumlines and shark nets in New South Wales. And on the right side of the screen is the rest of Queensland. So you can see that the Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast has the most amount of nets, and the Sunshine Coast and Rockhampton the most amount of drumlines. So Australia is really lacking behind. We're only one of 3 countries that still utilise these programs, along with South Africa and Reunion Islands. We can see that around the world, other countries have utilised and adopt other alternative methods that work just as well. So the ones that I'll be talking about today include drone surveillance, the Eco Shark Safe Barrier, the Shark Shield, and the Shark Safe Barrier. So just before I begin on these alternatives, I do want to note that it is unrealistic to just use one thing. We can't expect one device to have 100% efficiency rates. We need to be introducing lots of different methods that are now available to us. Okay. So first, I'll start off with drone surveillance. So the use of drones has already been seen around the globe, but as well as in Western Australia. In WA, we've seen that lifeguards have proven this to be highly effective in spotting sharks. Drone surveillance provides lifeguards with real-time footage. They're actually using this new AI technology to identify the actual species of shark. It can observe the shark's behavior and then determine the level of risk that that shark is portraying. These drones can also survey a larger stretch of coastline and have also been seen not just for sharks, but to survey other people that are, say, drowning just outside of the flags. They've been used to be really efficient in spotting safety measures. Drone surveillance is currently being trialled in Queensland and in New South Wales. It's just waiting to get the final tick that it's actually effective in these waters. The next one is another Western Australia owned barrier. So this is called the Eco Shark Barrier. So unlike the traditional shark nets, the Eco Shark Barrier is completely encloses the beach. So it goes from the surface of the water all the way down to the sand. It does a full barrier around the beach wherever it is put in. And instead of it being made from that mesh-like net material that the shark nets are now, it's made from this flexible rubber material. So any animal that goes into it, bumps into it, will bump straight back off. It's not going to have any entanglement. You can see on the right side of the screen that the rubber holes are actually quite large. So it's also not interfering with the rest of marine life. Fish can still get through. It's not stopping corals. This method has also been seen to be 100% effective in stopping sharks because they simply can't get through. The only thing with this method is that it is very particular on where it can be placed. So bringing it into Queensland waters, it can work in certain beaches like Noosa. However, there has to be lots of trialling before this can be put in. The next option is the shark shields. So this is one of my favorites. This is already being used at local tourism operator Sunreef and also being used around the world. So this is a personal electronic shark band. Basically, for this to make sense, I'll give you a little bit of shark anatomy for you. So as you can see on the top right of the screen, Sharks have a thing called ampullae of Lorenzini, which is basically their sixth sense. They have jelly-filled pores along their snouts that can feel the electronic pulse of the ocean. It can feel what they can determine their prey items, they can determine the filling of the water. So when someone has this electronic band on, it is actually putting out an electronic pulse around the user, which has been seen to be highly effective in deterring sharks. The way that we were explained to it is it's like if someone was to put your full beam lights onto you, you would automatically look away. It's the same concept with the sharks. So this device can be slotted into a surfboard. It won't reduce drag. It can be put in by the fins. You can also put it on the top of a scuba tank, on your fins, and it can be worn by pretty much any ocean user. This shark shield has been tested for the past 20 years in Western Australia and has been seen to be widely effective. The last option that I'll be speaking about today is the Shark Safe Barrier. I really like this one too because it's a South African design that I got to work with while I was over there. So how this works is it is a large pipes that are basically being anchored to the seafloor. They're magnetic, so it utilizes that same electronic field as what I just previously touched on. And they're anchored to replicate a dense kelp forest. So this particular method in South Africa is trying to deter great white sharks. So with the white sharks, they won't go anywhere near a kelp forest. So with this, combining that visual effect along with the magnetic fields of the pipes, it's been seen to create an invisible boundary line for the sharks. This device has been placed in between where surfers are to the outer section of the ocean, and it's been seen to be widely effective. This design is the first eco-friendly and effective alternative to be seen in South Africa, and it's been trialed for the past 10 years and has been seen to really work. So as we can see, these are just a handful of alternatives that could be used. Like I mentioned, it's unrealistic to just use one. We should be combining several of these methods to create a high level of safety for our beachgoers and for our beautiful marine life that really need our help. We have better alternatives. So again, I know not a lot of people are in Queensland, but I thought I would put this out there. If you do happen to find yourself on the Sunshine Coast, the Nets Out Now team are putting on a peaceful protest this Sunday coming, the 15th, at Mooloolaba Main Beach. We've been extremely supported by all of our local government parties, all of the big marine organizations on the coast. It's going to be more of the ideal aim is to create awareness and education in our general public that simply don't know the detrimental effects that these programs are having on our environments. I wanted to put this in there as my final slide. Just if you did want to get in touch with any marine-based questions, I have my own company called Bella Blue Diving, which is where I put all of my marine updates and information. And if you did want to get in touch, either via LinkedIn or email. So yeah, that's my SharkNet information. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm sure we've got plenty there, Bella. That was incredible.
Thank you.
You're so thorough. It was such absolutely thorough, and a lot of the data is obviously backing up any of the claims that you're making. So well done. Fantastic presentation. Well done. I've got heaps of questions. I'm sure others do first. So Kate, you look like you're itching. Have you got one?
Not so much. It's just that it's frustrating for me, like being like I was previously like a the volunteer lifesaver at Coolum, and the nets are out there. I mean, that was part of our exercises to go out to the net and go down and initiations and stuff like that. But it's just that they're not doing anything except for trapping turtles and everything else except for what it's there for. I scuba dive as well. One of my Wolf Rock dives, there was a mother whale with the baby and just dragging a net, and she was coming towards the boat wanting help. And the other thing is they can't do anything no matter everyone wanted to jump in and go and cut the net off, and it's like the vendors would then get fined a substantial amount of money just for trying to help them. And it did my head in. I was just like, well, I'm going to go and do it. And it's frustrating, and especially when there's all those better alternatives. And it's
Yeah.
like being a vet nurse and going to conferences and coming back and telling your vets about all these awesome things, and they won't implement them because of whatever. And it's just like, it's frustrating being,
Exactly.
you know, a lover of the water. And
I agree with you, Kate.
yeah,
And what I've heard, one of the reasons that people won't do anything, or politicians won't do anything, is it's potential political suicide to take out the net. So how do we address that?
yeah.
Is it just having large numbers of people that are protesting, or what? How can we address that?
Definitely. So in the organization of this protest coming up, that has been our main wall that we keep hitting. So we've been in touch. Actually, I'm not sure if you've heard of Sunshine Coast Councillor Joe Natoli, but he has been absolutely incredible with this. It's been really great speaking with him and Fiona Simpson, sorry. And they've really made it clear to us that the way to do this is people power. Like when you look at what happened in Western Australia back in 2014 with the protest, there was 6,000 people that came together and rallied and said, we don't want this. We can see how it is harming our environment, and the government was forced to listen. It's the advice that I've been told anyway is don't expect governments to kind of like stick their neck out. You need to have as much as a push as you can, that they're forced to not ignore that anymore. So that's kind of where we've been.
It's got to be a numbers game, really, then.
Definitely. And Kate, just going back with you raised a really good point with the fines. That's something that also, working in this industry, it is so frustrating because, again, working with Envoy Foundation, I'm not sure if you've watched the movie Seaspiracy that came out a few years ago, but it's
if you haven't, you must.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But when they were filming that, they'd been taking footage of the entanglements that were getting caught in the nets. And just like that, the government put in a law that you have, I think it's $100,000 fine to go within 15 meters of the nets. So we couldn't get footage of it anymore, which is, it's very difficult because you're versing the government here that can just make loopholes, make new laws. So yeah, I feel you. It is very frustrating. But
and the fact that we're also, you know, especially on the, you know, the coastal sides of, you know, of Australia and stuff like that. Like obviously WA is trying to be a bit more, you know, with you know, with the now, but like even following like Paul de Gelder and stuff like that, and like even in the States, there's still loopholes that the governments do over there, but even the, you know, the fisheries and stuff like that are starting to, you know, catch on that it's better to, you know, save the sharks instead of culling them and stuff like that. And so it's just, you know, we're, you know, especially the Sunshine Coast, we're a beach community, and so many people don't stand up for the, you know, the ocean life, which is, it's sad, it's frustrating. And when it's all gone, everyone's going to be like, oh, we should have done something.
Of course.
It seems to me that we need to flip the narrative a bit, though, because what we're doing is we're saying that we need to protect the sharks, but really the probably what will cut through is if we start saying that the government is not protecting the people enough, you know, because we're not. The processes we're using are not protecting people. So if we flip it and say to the politicians that you're not doing your job because you're not protecting us, then perhaps we can get a little bit better cut through.
Definitely. And what we found say this week coming with the protest on its way, there's been so many media releases and news reports, and it's been crazy. But the question that people ask us every time is, well, you're just going to take the nets and drum lights out and leave us, but that's not what's happening. There's so many other non-lethal alternatives that are going to be so much more effective. At the moment out there, it's really is just creating a false sense of security, which is more dangerous than anything, because people believe that they're safe. But at the end of the day, it's just a lack of awareness, really.
Yeah, I'd love to push that out to Irene and say, do you know what happens with sharks in Vancouver?
Well, we don't get big sharks like that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to actually ask, like, so how many shark attacks do you get in a year? Is it like a common occurrence, or?
No, well, I'm sure there definitely is stats on this, but it's not a common thing at all. You have a higher chance of, I'm sure you've heard of the vending machine stat, or getting hit by a coconut, or it's so incredibly rare. What we've actually found, I've got a number next to me here, is that we also push on people, is that during the time that the nets have been in, there's actually been 70 shark attacks in the netted beaches. So with or without the nets, there's
Right.
still attacks there, which is baffling. That just
Yeah.
that in itself is showing that, okay, they're not really doing a lot. But in Australia, no, I know we had one incident in Port Macquarie about a month ago, but other than that, it's very rare. It's very
Okay.
rare.
And so how come these nets were never extended all the way to the ground to begin with? Like,
Yeah, this is
like-
so Queensland and New South Wales have always done this differently. So in Queensland, we have ours on the top of the water column. New South Wales has theirs on the bottom of the water column, but neither of them go the entire way. So honestly, this was a method that got put in almost 100 years ago. It
Right,
was
yeah.
also like compared with when there was all of those attacks in New South Wales. This method was brought up alongside having people dressed underwater with black on with bells to scare the sharks. So there's
Yeah.
another method brought up was having like a hot air balloon above the ocean snipering the sharks. Like, yeah, this method was thought of a long time ago and probably wasn't thought through all the way. So yeah, I don't know specifically why.
Years we've actually got some science that would you know we could actually rely on science a little bit more. Now, Jasmine, you shared some stats. Well done. 10 fatal attacks globally in 2023, and only 4 of those were in Australia. So that's yeah, that's hardly worth worrying about, isn't it? And at the same time, we're murdering a lot of endangered species.
Definitely.
Which is something that we're not actually, we've signed treaties against doing that. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Fantastic to hear what's being done. And Bella, where do we need to be on the weekend?
Well, if you were in Queensland, it is Mooloolaba Main Beach, exactly where you have your photo.
Right here.
At 10:30 a.m. on Sunday the 15th. It'll be impossible to miss us. There's going to be a big inflatable whale that will have a big net over for dramatic effect. It's going to be music and speakers, the mermaids, face painting. It'll be a really cool day if you're around and able to make it.
I'll see you there.
Thank you.
All right. What other questions do we have for Bella, or any comments? Just general comments.
Or anything shark related as well. This is my domain.
Yeah, I know, like, because we've just spent a year in South Australia, and then now we're in WA. And it's funny because when we used to be on the Sunshine Coast, we'd always be like, oh, sharks. And now after being in South Australia and here, which is way sharkier, it's like funny to us being like, we were worried about sharks in Queensland. Like, what sharks? But I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on using like shark eyes versus shark bands versus the shark shield, because those are like the 3 that I know of. Because like we can put shark eyes like on the bottom of boards. So for any
You're dropping out of there, Jasmine.
doesn't know, it's basically a brand, and you have like because just your thoughts on those.
Okay, so you dropped out a little bit there, but I got most of it, I think. So first, I really do like the idea of shark eyes. I'm a surfer as well. All of
Bella,
our
do you mind explaining these 3 things as you go through them for those people that don't know what they are?
Sure, sorry. So shark eyes is a really simple method. It's literally just a sticker that you can put on like the bottom of your board. You can put on the back of a scuba tank. And basically so the way that sharks attack, it is that from the element of surprise. When a shark knows that you are paying attention to it and you have seen it, 9 out of 10 times the shark will just turn straight away. So something as simple as having a sticker of eyes on the bottom of your surfboard has actually been seen to be really, really effective. With that, it's a really simple one. If you surf, I would definitely recommend. It's really easy. Shark eyes are really cheap stickers you can get, and they are quite effective.
It works on magpies too.
There you go.
No, they're not underwater, but the same concept works.
Yeah, I mean, it's just showing that you have paid attention to that animal. Like I mentioned, say with diving as well, 9 out of 10 times when you're diving, if a shark has seen you and you are facing the other way, say it's here coming this way, and you turn around, it will turn, you know. So that one's really great. The Shark Shield is the one that I spoke about in the presentation. That is the personal electronic device. This one has just been seen to be really accessible. You can get these online with, I think they sell them through Eco Guardian, and anyone can use them. So they've been seen to be more powerful in groups. So I know Sunreef, which is a local tour operator, whenever they go on their whale experiences, everyone has a shark band on. So when it's together, it's like it becomes really powerful. I think they're roughly $200 to buy. So they are quite accessible if you're in the water all the time. Would definitely recommend.
Yeah.
And the last one that you mentioned, you kind of cut out a little bit. What was the third alternative?
Yeah, sorry. I switched over to our Starlink now. I didn't realize that I wasn't on it before. It's like the shark bands, which I think is similar, and it usually goes on like your ankle, and it uses that magnetic kind of pulse.
So that's very similar concept to the Shark Shield. So they're just through 2 different companies. They are, again, like with the Shark Shield, very effective. You can use them, anyone can use them. You can put it on, like you said, on your ankle, or you can attach it to a board. The only thing with that kind of gets me a little bit is the way that it's putting out its pulse is that the shark will only feel it once it's within a certain radius. So there still will be a shark that's close, but it will come towards you and then turn the opposite direction. Because again, it's playing with their sixth sense, the ampulla of Lorenzini.
Is that different than to how the Shark Shield works? Like with the Shark Shield, do they stay further away the whole time?
No, so it's the same. The sharks only feel that magnetic pull when they get close, whatever it is.
Yeah. And then I have so many, especially like the older surfers and stuff, you hear it all the time, is that they're like, these bands are attracting the sharks, they're calling the sharks in. And so then like if you're the one wearing it, then you're putting everyone else at danger because it's like bringing sharks in. So I know that that's not true because the sharks can't sense them unless they're close enough anyway. But have you like heard that, or like I don't know if you because it's so frustrating, and you can't change their mind because it's all these old surfers and they're like dead set convinced that these like new technologies are attracting the sharks,
which is just crazy. I mean, trust me, I feel you, as in talking to people that are very set in their ways with their original methods, but I think it is really just educating people, because say something like with the Shark Shield or the Shark Band, that is the opposite effect that it has. That it's not going to have an effect on a shark that's within like just the general vicinity. It's only once the shark is close that it can actually feel the electronic pulse and then be deterred. So no, in no ways are you attracting sharks using this.
So we've got to dispel some of these myths when we're talking.
Yes, and it's good. Like, please do, if you have any questions on anything, please do ask, because I know when it comes to shark, there are a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of fear around it. So if there are any questions concerning it, please do just shoot.
Well done. That was so wonderful, and what a fantastic conversation. Thanks, Bella, so much for sharing what you know about sharks. We might have to have you back again to talk about South Africa another month if you're up for that, because I really want to hear all about South Africa as well. So if you're up for that, we'll do that another month. That'd be so good. Wong has just come in. So Wong, I don't know if you're free to give us a very small sort of update on what's happening in Borneo.
Okay, well, sure. Sorry. Well, first of all, I'm so late. I'm busy just now. Yeah, but glad to manage to catch up with the very tail of this meeting. Over the last month, I think we have been very busy at the Summit Center because it is a peak season for traveling. So it's good to see people, sort of visitors returning. And then and when people's returning means money is coming to our way. And then for us right now, we are seriously promoting using nature-based tourism to help conservation, because the presence of the tourists, just like anybody else, especially the nature-based tourists, will help local economy, will help protect, will create jobs for the local peoples, and hence the local people will protect the wildlife instead of eating them, because these are the things that attract all the tourists to come and see and come and enjoy. And then when Sabah still have forests, where Sabah still have wildlife, and then and this nature based tourism is very, very important. That's why yeah, things is so clear after this pandemic. Anyway, so we are busy with these things. And then for us, Tarbin is still ongoing, and we finally got the approval for us to build the fuel station in Tarbin. So I'm right now, on my really hard to try to get money to build that station up.
Okay.
And then yeah, so we got a few interest potential funders who show interest. So hopefully they finger crossed that, and
Well, we've got a few people who haven't been here before. So for Tarbin, it's basically a satellite Bornean Sunbear
yes,
Conservation Centre,
yeah,
where rescued bears will be introduced directly to the forest without having this sort of halfway house of BSC.
yes, yeah, that is correct.
The only bear there at the moment is Tanum. So how's things going there?
Yeah, so Tinum is still in the forest. I went to see her last month, and growing big, growing wild. And then, but right now, a few weeks ago, we had a herd of elephants came in, damaged our the big signboard beside the road, and then damaged the bear trap.
Oh no.
So that is kind of a casualties when you have elephants come close, and then the elephant literally do not like anything that is man-made. Yeah, so but this time luckily the elephant did not come close to Tinom's camp, although they are all hot wired and kind of have one layers of protection, but it's very difficult to predict what a herd of elephant can do, although we have the hot wire to protect our camp and also Tinom's cage as well. So
when do you expect that Tenem will be able to be released?
Tinom is on her own schedule.
She's on her own
already now, and then there was few times where our staff walk her at night time because she want to go out and she refused to go back. So slowly, she decide when is she not going to come back, when is she want to be independent from the caretaker. It's all up to her. And then we have a support team to be there for her, because at this stage I think she is still not safe if she bump into an adult bears, and we know there are adult bears in the vicinities. That's why the caretaker have to be present to protect her from other bears.
Okay. Oh, that's great news though. That's great.
So it's a long process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And do you have any other cubs that you might move out to Tarbin?
Not at this moment, but we do have Etam, where we identify she will be released next year on March.
Okay.
Yeah, we already start doing the planning, and it will be the typical hard release one with chartering helicopter, satellite collar, and then the different things is right now I have a team based in Tarbin, and then they can be dispatched to deal with any kind of situation immediately if there is any needs for attention on the ground, and at least we have a team ready. Yeah.
That's
Well,
that's a good update. I'm glad you could make it to give us that update. So it's heartwarming.
Sorry about the delay.
Well done. Well done. Has anyone got any questions for Wong?
All right. Oh, yes.
With that one for you guys, Elijah?
Could we have some information about where the center is, please?
If you search for Bornean Sunbear, if you Google map, search for Bornean Sunbear Conservation Center, it will brings you to us. You can even use Google Earth or Google Map to look at our center, because there has been the Google Earth team came and take all the pictures, and you can do the 3D from the boardwalk, walk around. You can see our centers on the click of your fingers.
Elijah, that's the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Center. That's
Yeah.
Sepalok in Sabah, Malaysia, in case
Yeah.
you hone in a bit more.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. Any other questions for Wong? That's pretty good. Okay.
All right.
Well, gone a little bit over time, but is there anyone who's got something they want to share about what they've been up to who hasn't shared so far? No, it looks like everyone gets silent at this point, don't they? All right. Well, it's been such a lovely talk. Thank you so much, Bella, for your time today and for sharing and teaching us all about the shark nets. Those of us on the Sunshine Coast, I implore you to come along on the weekend, and we'll try and see if we can make a little bit of noise about sharks. I'm going to be sending you guys a very short survey to fill out, if you don't mind, because I'd like to see what you guys want out of this meeting so we can move forward and make sure we're meeting everybody's needs. It'll only have 10 questions. So if you see that email coming in the next few days, please take 5 minutes to fill it out. That'd be really awesome. I will be also letting you know when we launch the tour page so that you can help me spread the word on that one, if you don't mind. Next month, on the 10th, and we meet the 10th of every single month. The time differs so that basically so Irene doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night and Taylor can get her beauty sleep. So we move it around different times of the day, but it will be on the 10th. Love to have you all here. Next month we'll have Casey Woodward talking about what she does, and she's someone that comes along regularly. So you'll love to hear from Casey. She's really awesome to talk to and listen to. So hopefully you'll be here next month. But other than that, it's been a real delight sharing time with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you then.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.